Welcome all to episode 3 of Reporting Eligible. I am your host tonight, Bro Talk. My co-host, Berto, again, he's got some personal business to handle, but he has told me he will be here next week in the flesh. My duo will be back, so wish everyone Berto luck, get his stuff situated. If you guys enjoy Berto, the co-host of Reporting Eligible, be sure to check out his channel, 95 North Sports Machine on YouTube, and RI Falcons on Twitter, also on Bleacher Report. He is our Atlanta Falcons Bleacher Report creator. And boy, do I have a slate for you guys today. We are going to be talking about free agency preview, some moves that Terry Fontenot still hasn't done, who we could possibly sign in free agency, and then also combine risers, combine fallers, who the Falcons could possibly take at 15, and then also catching you up on all the NFL news. But before I begin, thank you, Ralph, for the question. As many of you saw on Twitter, ESPN, wherever you get your news, you think we offer anything for DK? As much as I'd like to say yes, I'm one of the bunch that would like DK. I saw Trayshawn on Twitter say, DK gives you the X receiver, Drake London, your big slot, and Darnell Mooney, the Z that can go inside as well. I don't think it happens. He wants a contract extension. Yes, we'll have the cap space after this year, but I don't think Terry Fontenot generally wants to tie up the money for another receiver when Drake London's contract is looming. And if Darnell Mooney produces again, why not give him an extension as well? But anyways, let's get started. Because a lot of NFL teams have started making their moves. The Dallas Cowboys restructured Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb. They gave some extensions to Osi Odigizua. Like, they're making cap space moves where now they have over $54 million in cap space, and the Falcons are still sitting at negative $5 million. Like, they still have a lot of work to do. And it's not to say that Terry's asleep. I think Terry's weighing his options. And, legal tampering starts this Monday. So I do expect some moves to happen. Whether he takes it down to the wire, I don't know, right? I don't know. I'm not a GM. If it were me, I would have already done the moves. Given my fans peace of mind, you got to bring the fan base back in, right? Disappointment in 2024, you got to reel them back in for 2025. You got to sell the seats. So the obvious one, guys, restructures. Chris Lindstrom, Jesse Bates alone gets you back in the green, right? Those are two players you fully expect to be on your team for years to come. You could also extend Jesse Bates, which would alleviate more room. Now, he is getting a little older, could have production decline, but right now he's been an all-pro safety for us, so I don't see that happening. You could also, I'd like to personally restructure AJ Terrell. Not a lot of people talk about his restructure because he just got a deal. It's like, why would you restructure him now? Well, because he's still young. You expect him to be here through this contract. So move a little money and push it down the line of the road, right? The road, push it down the road, whatever. Now, the two glaring ones, okay? David Onyemata. Now, our defensive tackle room is very thin, right? Obviously, that's why the defensive line is like still a focal point. You drafted 3 young guys, Rook Oro, Brandon Dorless, and then Braylon Trice on the edge, right? We didn't see Braylon Trice. He had his knee injury. Brandon Dorless, he was inactive the majority of the year, which I'm fine with. A lot of people wanted to see him. We just had a crowded defensive tackle room. You wanted the vets to take over, play out their contracts, and that way you could develop Dorless. I expect Dorless to have a lot of playing time. Oh, I'm sorry, Zach Harrison as well. Zach Harrison, who a lot of people think is going to move out to the edge. I still think he plays more of, instead of like a 9, when we're in a 5 or 4-eye technique or a 4, that's going to be his cup of tea, maybe into the 3. He did put on weight. I'm not sure if he's going to lose weight or maintain the weight, but that's someone there. But David Onyemata, he's I believe 33. His production is going down. He's not what he was for the Aints and then in his first year here in Atlanta. He's on the final year of his deal. You save, what's the number? $8.8 million if you cut him right now. You need the money, so I don't see him being a post-June 1st cut. I thought he would be a post-June 1st cut, but the Falcons need the funds now. So you would save 8 million, 8.5 of it would be dead cap. So be it, right? That's an easy 8 million. The other one everyone's been talking about is Grady Jarrett. Okay. Grady Jarrett. Everyone says, oh, cut him, cut him, cut him. Initially, I thought that's what was going to happen. It would hurt my heart because Grady Jarrett is the embodiment of an Atlanta Falcon, right? He is Mr. Falcon. His dad was, and so is he. So I've been seeing a lot of moves that other teams have been doing. Bradley Chubb did it today, and Teron Armstead did it last week. They're taking their base salary down to the minimum, and then they're restructuring their contract to where that number that they just lost in base salary becomes incentives and more bonuses, right? What's up, Michael? Welcome to the show. So you do that, you alleviate more cap space. I'm not entirely sure what the number is, but I believe his number could go down to 2 or 3 million base salary. And then, you move the money to where he can earn it based off playing time, snap share, whatever. You say, listen, we still want to pay you, but we need this cap space, right? Exactly, Mark. Taking less, being a team player. Let's see. Yes, that would be huge. Grady needs to be more affordable. And I think he wants to do that, right? All the insiders from Atlanta are reporting that Grady wants to work this out. He wants to remain a Falcon. He doesn't want to go anywhere. And let's be honest, as the fan base, Grady's given us so much. We don't want him to go anywhere. And we need that veteran presence in that young defensive tackle room, because I do expect, whether we add draft capital or not, we're going to draft defensive line, whether it's a 3 technique, a true nose tackle, or another edge guy. Grady is the voice for the defensive line room, right? You want to keep him there for that very reason. So doing all those moves gives the Falcons plenty of flexibility going into free agency, because in free agency, we've got plenty of holes, right? They've made the message clear that the defense is going to be the focal point, which all of us fans are very excited about, because we've been preaching that, right? Pass rush, better linebacker play, better secondary play, all of the above. All of the above. Let's see. AJ, DJ, Jesse, Starks in the secondary. Yeah, that would be a really, really good really good secondary. Need that vet staying at home for the heart of how to be a Falcon. Exactly. It's showing these young bucks, this is what we do in Atlanta, right? If you guys haven't heard the story about Julio at Alabama, Nick Saban tells the story. Julio Jones is one of the, it's wide receiver U almost, besides LSU. They produce him. And Nick Saban, been that hard-hitting, that demand the best of you, said he had a wide receiver, a freshman or a walk-on or somebody, right? A young wide receiver do something and act out of character. And Julio Jones, being that upperclassman, pulls him to the side and said, hey, we don't do that here. Meaning that's not what Alabama's about. We don't play that game. And that's kind of what Grady Jarrett would do for the young defensive line room. So if you have someone that has, per se, character issues, that maybe the Falcons are like, that's where you go to Grady and be like, Grady, if we take this guy, we really need you to take him under your wing. I think Grady would do that, because he knows he's at the end of his career. He's trying to just win in Atlanta. He hasn't tasted playoffs just like us since 2017. So I think Grady Jarrett becomes a big focal point when we talk about restructuring money. And again, I think Terry really dials it in this week and heading into the weekend, where we're going to start to see some moves. Hopefully tomorrow. It's already Thursday. I mean, after that, it's Friday, and then boom, weekend. And Monday is legal tampering day. That's where you're going to see all the alerts of all the free agents agreeing to contracts. Now, Mark, great question here. At the end of the show, we're going to talk about who I think we can take at 15, okay? So save the questions about the draft towards the end, if you would. Arizona did the same thing with Patrick Peterson and Honey Badger. Yeah, Honey Badger came out of college with character issues. Patrick Peterson, being a pro's pro, showed him the way. And look at Tyrann Mathieu. Even though he's on the Aints, he's had a very wonderful career. Which his time in New Orleans may be coming into an end, because they are in cap hell. I'll tell you what, cap hell. All right, guys. Next subject I want to talk to you about. Moving on. the Kirk Cousins situation. We're still talking about it. And I can't remember who from the Athletic said it. They are confirming what Terry and Raheem are saying, that Kirk isn't going anywhere. He's not going to get cut. If anything happens, it's going to be way down the line. And Mark Garofalo, I think I said his name right, Mike Garofalo of NFL Network reported that we may not see a Kirk Cousins move until after the draft because of what the Falcons did to him, right? If he left and said, hey, I want to go, let's hypothetical, right? No one has said this, but hypothetical. Let's say, hey, I want to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Get me traded to Pittsburgh, right? He waives the no trade clause, and Atlanta makes it happen. Oh, we'll give you a 6th-round pick for Kirk. Okay, bet. We'll eat up, some of his salary. You guys take some of it because you have cap space. Win-win, right? We'll take a lower draft pick so you eat some of his contract. The Steelers, if he's traded before the draft, the Steelers could draft a quarterback just like the Falcons did. And even though Kirk should expect that, Kirk's very prideful. He thinks he's the man, right? So that's why drafting Michael Penix, like it was a shock to all of us, was a shock to him. But hey, hindsight 2020, it was the right pick by the Falcons. So don't expect any type of move from Kirk Cousins. A trade still only gives you $2.5 million from the cap, like based off the numbers, how they are now, right? Teams can move around the numbers how they see fit. The Falcons could say, look, we just want to get rid of him. It'll free up some space. We can do, if they do it after June 1st, that's the best scenario for us, because that's when the Falcons save the most amount of money. They save the $27 million, which would be huge, right? But nonetheless, don't expect Kirk Cousins to get moved anytime soon, even if you're like, you feel what's it called? Spiteful, right? Like, he did us dirty, get rid of him. I'm sure Terry and Raheem would have already done it if the contract was structured that way. All right, let's see. I'm the only one who was on board with keeping Cousins. He is invaluable, just like Jarrett. He helped Penix be successful being a rookie, which I do agree. Kirk is a student of the game, and he's a student of the game, and he does show rookies how to be a quarterback in this league. But he also has his personal agenda, right? He's prideful, just like any athlete, right? If you've ever played sports, you always think, I can be that guy. I can be that guy. And that's what Kirk Cousins is. He's a competitor. I can't fault him for that. But in the back of his mind, he's like, I could be out there doing that, even though we know, hey, Kirk, it didn't work out that way. Let's see. Trey, I personally wouldn't mind re-signing Justin Simmons and let him play in Jeff Ulbricht's scheme, simply based off how he base love playing with each other. Trey, I think that's a valid take. However, I think, now I don't know this to be true, but this is just my opinion. I think the scheme in itself will be the same. What do I mean by that? Jimmy Lake was fired because he didn't know how to handle the personnel and when to call certain defensive plays in certain situations. He doesn't understand the flow of the game. Jeff Ulbricht does, and that's why Raheem brought him in, because he trusts him to do the things that Raheem was so focused on that he couldn't focus on being a head coach. So I think generally it's going to be almost like a cover 3 match with a cover 1. Those are going to be the two with a mixture of cover 2, Tampa 2, a little sprinkled in, right? Maybe some more blitzes, right? So we talked about how Justin didn't fit the scheme, so I don't know that it works the same unless they do bring him in, and now he's got a second year under his belt. So maybe I would kick the tires on it and give it a shot based off the number, right? Because the Falcons don't have much money to play with right now. So it all comes down to money, right? But he handled it with class. Did he? Did he? There's some things that just rubbed me the wrong way when he talked about his shoulder injury and not feeling right. Now, granted, someone's lying, whether it's Kirk or the coaching staff and Terry. Someone's lying. But then he also, there was a report that came out saying that there was rumors that the Falcons were going to be cutting him prior to the new year. Terry never said that. His agent said that. Right? It's all precision. Okay. Kirk is a professional, but he's also someone looking to get himself back in the starting spot. Right? So no one's confirming everything. That's just my opinion, my 2 cents. All right. That's enough of Kirk Cousins. The next player we're going to talk about, Drew Dalman. Drew Dalman. What's up, Debo? Welcome, welcome. Yeah, free agency is upon us. Drew Dalman. I've seen a mixture on Twitter and social media. Yes, we resign him. We let him walk. I'm going to give you my opinion. If Drew Dalman agrees to anywhere from 11 to 13, even I'm pushing 14 million APY, I'm resigning him. Now it all comes down to incentives, guarantees, et cetera, how it's restructured, because Terry would have to backload this contract to where the cap hit is lower here this year, and then it picks up as the years go on, right? Because 2026 is really where our cap shoots up. But if the reports are true that this guy's possibly getting 20 million plus, beating out Creed Humphrey, who's arguably the best center in the league, he's beating his money? No. Let him walk. Let someone else overpay. He is a phenomenal run blocker, a very iffy pass blocker. He does enough, but he also has snapping issues. Okay? If he's going to cost you 20 million per year, you got to let him go, and you pick up your comp pick, which I believe would be a 4th rounder in 2026, right? The big thing with Terry is he's struggled with getting comp picks because as players go, he's having to re-sign players. Well, you lose your comp picks that way. I wonder how much of that number is agent talk. Yeah, I don't know. Everyone give a shout out to Annabelle Q. That is my sis-in-law. Shout out to her for being in the chat tonight. What's going on? And yes, it is. It is my anniversary, but you know what? Chat, give me some W's for my wife who said, it's all right. Go do your show. I double checked, guys. I told her I was going to push the show off till tomorrow, but she said, no, go do your show. We'll spend some time after it. She bought some anniversary cupcakes. We shared some dinner before the show. So W wife, she's my wife for a reason. So W wife in the chat. She is the reason I am still here tonight doing the show. But Drew Dalman. Okay. 20 million a year, let him walk. 11 to 14 million a year. You're trying to re-sign him, work out the guarantee money. You keep the continuity, right? You keep the continuity. There are reports that the Falcons are okay with Ryan Nuzile at center. Okay. Tendering him will only cost the Falcons about $20 million. Or not 22 million. Oh, God. Relax. Ryan Nuzile. No. $2 million for a second round tender for Ryan Nuzile. And the Falcons did okay. He snaps the ball a lot better than Dalman. A lot of people say, well, there's not really much of a drop off. He doesn't, right, Michael? He doesn't have the quick first step that Drew Dalman has, but he can be serviceable for you until you find that younger long-term piece. I'm willing to give Javon Gwynn a shot. Someone that we drafted out of South Carolina, Mark. Yeah, I think so too. I think we're going to spend our money on defense, but hey, if Drew can come back at a cheaper price, let's do it. But I'm okay giving Javon Gwynn a shot at center, who got snaps at center in preseason last year. And I watched his film, and he wasn't bad. He wasn't the best, but he wasn't bad, right? He's younger. You let him battle it out with Nuzile in camp, and whoever does better, that's your center. And I watched Javon Gwynn snaps. They were here. They were here every time to Michael Penix when he was in the game. What's up, Terry? I'll let her know you said W to the wife. Happy anniversary. Thank you very much. It is 8 years with me and my wife married, 13 overall together. 13? Ooh, don't tell her I said that. 12 or 13. I forget every time. But I know it's been 8 years married. But Drew Dalman, the Falcons expect him to get a bag. They are both 6'3", 305. Yeah, exactly. And Gwynn is the younger one, right? He's still he got a future contract. He's only going to cost you $1 million. So $3 million between the two centers, and you let him battle it out, and whoever does better wins it. So be it. He's been with the Falcons organization for 2 years, learning from Dwayne Ledford. Even though we went from Arthur Smith to Raheem Morris, it's been Dwayne Ledford. The running scheme has been the same, right? Hey, Lawrence, I appreciate you. I'll let my wife know. Appreciate you guys. W wife again for letting me still be here and do the show. But enough of that. we're on to free agency because it's Monday. The legal tampering period starts on Monday, right? The new year, the new NFL year starts on Tuesday. New contracts aren't official until that day. So, someone could agree to something on Monday and then back out and then go sign with someone else. But it is this coming Monday, legal tampering. And, we've seen a lot of cuts throughout the NFL, a lot of cuts, not a lot of defensive cuts that you would want and be like, oh yeah, let's go him. The only one that I thought was Sam Hubbard, but hey, he retired like 5 minutes after they announced that he was cut. Let's see, Reaper, what you got here? Terry got to pull off a trade for a pass rusher and go get Miles or Micah. So the one I think is more likely is going to be Micah Parsons, and we can touch on Micah Parsons. What's good, A1 Forever Sports? What's good, Chris? Everyone, shout out A1, formerly one of my partners in crime, but he's doing greater things on the Atlanta Hawks scene, does some Falcon stuff here. What's going on? Let's see, Lawrence. Am I wrong thinking we should consider moving on for Grady? No, but we talked about it earlier in the show about him bringing his base salary down to a minimum and creating that as incentives to free up his cap space. You need the veteran presence in the locker room, especially with a young group of defensive linemen, and potentially drafting a guy that has quote-unquote character issues. That's the type of guy you want Grady kind of putting his arm around and saying, come on, young buck, let me show you around. Micah Parsons, let's touch on that before we get into free agency. Micah Parsons, right? The Cowboys freed up money with Dak, freed up money with CeeDee Lamb, okay? They've got $54 million. They just spent money on Osa Odigizua, which freed up more cap space. So they're going to take bigger cap hits. So, is he a possibility? Yes. Yes. What's up, Terry? What's going on, man? Welcome to the show. Azeez is the most realistic free agency edge we can get, in my opinion. I'm not sold on Azeez. I'll be honest with you. To me, who was the last guy that went Bulldog, Giant, Falcon? Pop quiz. Anybody? Anybody? Zoe Carter. How'd that work out for us? Right? Zoe Carter was a 3rd-round pick. What was Azeez? A 4th? A 5th? I can't remember. Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, Zoe Carter. So I just kind of feel like it'll be the same thing over again. You go from Zoe to Azeez, a little younger, but Azeez can't stay healthy. That's been his problem since he got into the league. So, no thanks. Micah's going to want $30 million. Oh, buddy. Thanks to Mr. Max Crosby, he's going to want more than that. Let me see. Let me pull up the number that Max got this today. Oh, edge rusher. I can't even, it's not even updated on Over the Cap. But Max Crosby set a record-breaking deal, right? He got 3-year extension, $106.5 million. So you do the math. That's well over that's like 35. 35 and a half? No. Where's my math right here? Where's my math gurus? Yeah, it's almost 35. Yeah. 35. Azeez Ojulari was a 2nd-round pick. Okay, my bad. But that's 35 and a half. Micah's going to want right around that number. 35, 36. Right? He's going to want that. And personally, he's worth it, dude. He's worth it. Micah's only 25. He hasn't even hit his prime. Edge rushers really don't start seeing a decline until their 30s. And Micah might even surpass that. I mean, look at Khalil Mack. Look at him. Still still dominating in the league. Maybe not at the capacity when he was 25, 26, but he could still dominate. So if you get Micah at 25, you give him a 5-year extension. Well, at 30, see you later. Thanks for your services, right? Micah Parsons is that dude. He can line up off ball. He's exactly what people want out of Jalen Carter, right? I think Micah's better than Jalen Carter. And then everyone's going to be like, well, you should have just drafted Micah. Yeah, well, hindsight 2020, right? We didn't expect Pitts to go this way and Micah to go that way. Yeah, it is what it is, right? We can either trade for Micah and give him 35 now and hope he drafts someone that's just good and give him 45 in a few years, right? Because, look, any extension that happens now, it's going to be a lower cap hit this coming year, and then in 2026, 2027, and so on, the number is going to climb because of our limited cap space. And guys can write the contracts as is, and that's how guys agree to it, right? That's what happened to AJ. That's what happened to Jesse. That's what happened to a lot of guys where it's like, hey, we're paying Kirk a lot of money these coming 2 years. We need to pay you your bulk on the back end. And even if we cut you, it's guaranteed money, so you don't have to worry. And that's how guys agree to it, right? But anyway, Micah Parsons, I think, is still on the table. Some people are reporting that the Cowboys still might not get a deal done. Jerry Jones loves to drag his feet. If he's not extended by the start of the year, I would be expecting us to be in contention to trade for him by the trade deadline. So Micah Parsons, I talked about it last season with Smitty. If you guys know Smitty, we talked about it together. It is a possibility. Let's see. We can draft Mike Green. It's the same type as Micah. It's not. It's not. Mike Green doesn't have off-ball skills. He's an edge guy that still has to learn how to drop in coverage, right? He still has to learn. Micah already knows how to drop in coverage. Rip Puka. Do you want him because you want someone, you don't get him? It always happens that way. It doesn't matter what year. They probably took Green off their board. Possibly. We could talk about this right now. How likely is a Pitts trade? To be honest with you, I thought it was a very probable thing that was going to happen because he carries over a $10 million cap hit. The production wasn't there. Something Zach Robinson that Berto actually pointed out to me that he said in training camp early before the year is he's learning how to play wide receiver while also relearning how to play tight end. They were asking him to do two different things, right? And I really think that Pitts would be more successful if he just learned how to play wide receiver. Honestly, he's not your dominant blocking tight end. He's not George Kittle. He's not Gronk. Even Kelsey blocks better than him, right? And Kelsey's older. But they're sending so many mixed signals, right? There's reports that he's available. The Patriots apparently called to see if his availability, but then you have Raheem and Terry saying, no, he's going to be here. We're building chemistry, yada, yada, yada. I don't know. Only time will tell. Joey Bosa released. Did that just drop? Hold on. Holy crap. Joey Bosa's released. Put him up at the top of your free agent board. Joey Bosa has been released. The move saves the Chargers $25.3 million in cap space. Yes. Joey Bosa, yes. Okay, give me that. Bang. Hold on. I got to let the boys know. Hold on. Got it. Please, Joey Bosa Falcon. I'm in it. Joey Bosa has been released by the Chargers. Joey Bosa is 30, so I bet we could get him for very inexpensive, right? Bosa is injury prone, but that's why you don't pay him a lot, right? I thought about this too. He's probably going to go play with his bro in San Francisco. Maybe. I'm tweeting out right now. Maybe. Okay, so another free agent is available, right? Someone we were hoping for last season. They worked out a new deal, and then he stayed there, but he couldn't stay healthy, right? We'll see. I like Joey. I like Joey more than Nick, and Nick's having a better career in my opinion, just because he's been able to stay on the field. But I think Joey still got some juice in him because he's been injured so much that the rest of his body's been pretty much fresh, right? Hasn't been really banged up. But let's talk about free agent targets and realistic free agent targets, right? If the Falcons don't really create the room that we're expecting, right? That means likely they're going to re-sign Khalil Mack. Not necessarily. They could, but they still have Bud Dupree under contract, and they have that young kid, Tuli Tulipolio, I can't say his last name, from USC, who's been productive for them. I could see them going and drafting an edge in the first round, someone we wouldn't expect, but you just never know. I don't know, because I think John Harbaugh is trying to get younger, right? Anytime a new coach comes in, like the Falcons, they're trying to get younger. But let's talk about the Falcons right now, okay? And what's this guy's name? Where is he? There he is. Jamien Sherwood. We need to upgrade at the linebacker position, whether that's in the draft or that's in free agency. And I think free agency is a likelihood, right? Jamien Sherwood, converted safety to linebacker from the Jets, very familiar with Ulbrich and what he's asking for. A very speedy guy from what I've seen on tape, can cover very well, run fits well, and just brings that thumper energy that you need. Him and Dre Greenlaw are probably my two top free agents for linebacker. Nick Bolton's up there, but I just like those two more because I think they could come at a cheaper deal. Now, both are reporting that could potentially command about $11 million per year. I think you could lock up Jamien Sherwood for maybe 3 for 30 with maybe 12 guaranteed or something like that, 15 of it guaranteed. I would love to see that. Those two are my big favorites. And even if we sign them, let's say we sign one of them, that doesn't take linebacker off the draft board. Maybe it does in the first, but not later on, right? This is a good linebacker class in the draft. Another guy I'm really looking at, Asante Samuel Jr., the son of the great Asante Samuel, who did spend some time here in Atlanta. They play a similar ball. Asante Samuel Jr. has been struggling with injuries, so maybe you can negotiate that way. Kind of like when Mike Hughes came over from Detroit, where it was a very cheap deal. Now, I think Asante's better than Mike Hughes. You bring him over, you sign him to maybe a 2 or 3 year deal, very inexpensive. And then if he pans out in 2 years, you give him that extension. He can play outside, he can play the nickel. He gives you versatility inside or out, right? I really want them to experiment with AJ in the nickel, to be honest with you. I think he could do really well. But Asante Samuel Jr. on a high priority for me when it comes to corner. Jordan Lewis from the Cowboys, who's mainly strictly a corner, a little undersized, but plays with authority, right? Plays with authority in the nickel. But Jamien Sherwood, Asante Samuel Jr., those are two big ones. Now you get to defensive tackle. I do think they still need to add defensive tackle. Maybe an older guy. A recent guy that just got cut, Draymond Jones from the Seahawks. I really like him. He was carrying a $17 million cap hit. I don't think he's getting that anywhere. I think maybe you could get him for 8 or 9 million, maybe 2 years, right? He's still got some good juice under him. The Seahawks are having to gut their team to create free agency moves, right? They let go of Tyler Lockett. They let go of 4 guys on 2 on defense, 2 on offense. Like, they're clearing house, right, of the big cap hits. Draymond Jones is one. And then if the reports are true, hey, what's going on, Kerry? Welcome. If the reports are true, Jonathan Allen, the Commanders are seeking a trade partner. I don't know that anyone really wants to take his cap hit on at that age. So if they can't find a trade partner, they're going to let him go. I'm calling Jonathan Allen. He's a dog. Like, I would 100% bring in Jonathan Allen for the right price. And that would give you another veteran in the defensive line room. Joey Bosa, yeah. Hey, Joey, what do you think about red and black? You know, you get to play your brother. How's that sound? Yeah, I'm calling Joey Bosa. That's probably with him and Chase Young, who initially Chase Young I wasn't in, but I've kind of worked my way into liking the idea of Chase Young because I don't know, Raheem just seems to connect with players and bring the best out of them. And he commands that. He commands the best out of you in a respectful manner. I think he could do the same for Chase Young. And plus, it would be a slap in the face to our division rivals taking him and now him terrorizing former teammates. So Chase Young and Nick Bosa, both Ohio State guys. Ohio State just produces edge rushers. Those are the 2 guys for edge for me. Now, as far as safety goes, I'm going to tell you it's either Justin Reed or Talanoa Hufanga out of the San Francisco. Those two are my two top safeties, the true strong safeties that could play along with Jesse Bates. That would allow Jesse to free roam as the high safety, right? And they could rotate. That's the thing. You got to get guys that are versatile in hiding coverages. Justin Reed playing in a Steve Spagnuolo defense, he had to get really good at disguising what he was going to do. And then I just said it. Talanoa Hufanga, he's a very good run fit safety, very hard hitting. And I always say you need to add some Samoan blood, right? You need to add some attitude. Samoan, like Polynesian guys, they're just absurdly strong. They love playing football, and they just bring an attitude to them. Plus, he trains with Troy Polamalu, Hall of Fame Troy Polamalu. Those are my big free agent, like who I'm looking for once Terry makes these moves. I'm really hoping Terry makes some moves because I've been telling a lot of people to relax, remain calm. Terry's going to make these moves very, very soon. Every day that passes doesn't happen. I'm getting anxious. But let's talk about what's been going on around the league. The past 2 days have been kind of hectic. Like lots of cuts, lots of trades. The Chicago Bears, man, they got to we got to extend Jesse. Yes, I agree. It frees up cap space too. Trevon Moring, I like him, but I do think the Raiders are going to re-sign him. I do. He would be a nice fit too. I wouldn't mind him at all. The Chicago Bears are making moves, right? New head coach, same GM, but the head coach is actually convincing the GM to invest in the offensive line. Now it is with veteran players, right? They just traded a 4th-round pick in 2026 for Joe Thuney, an all-pro left guard. They traded for Jonah Jackson, who played with Ben Johnson in Detroit. He was playing center for the Rams. Not really sure why. He's a guard, so he'll go back to guard, right? They have their right tackle in Rondale Wright. The left tackle, meh. But they're investing in the offensive line. I mean, Caleb Williams was sacked 68 times, 3rd most in NFL history, which is ridiculous. The number 1 overall pick, right? And that happens, right? But that opens the gate for Ashton Genty and Tyler Warren, in my opinion, because Tyler Warren is going to be a problem in the league. So is Ashton Genty, but Ben Johnson has already been off to a hot start. For the Cleveland Browns, Joel Bitonio, very, very good guard, is returning for his 12th season, was contemplating retirement. What's your question here? What about D. Affler? He had some terrible moments, but also wasn't bad at the time. He is a restricted free agent, so if he is offered a contract elsewhere, the Falcons would have the opportunity to match. I like D. Alford, but I think I'm past him. I don't think he should be a starter. I think we need to upgrade the nickel position. Personally, I like D as a person, but I think he's just a little undersized for the nickel, makes too many mental errors. That's just my opinion. Restructure Chris and get Grady a new deal. You could get Grady a new deal. You could also take the route of the Miami Dolphins, like they did with Teron Armstead and what's his name? They just did it today. Bradley Chubb, where they take their base salary down to a minimum. They turn the rest of the money into incentives, and then it lowers the cap hit. But yes, I do agree Chris Lindstrom should be restructured. I wanted Khalil Mack, but I'll take the other pass rusher and Joey Bosa. Although my thing is, can he stay healthy? That is the biggest question. Can he stay healthy? And obviously, last year, we're being honest, the Falcons did not handle injuries very well, a la Troy Anderson, Younghoe Koo, Zoe Carter, and apparently Kirk Cousins. So I would like Joey Bosa. I mean, he's younger than Khalil Mack, but Khalil Mack's been very durable, and he's been able to have the lengthy career he has because he has been able to avoid major injuries. Man, props. I'm too invested in people to want to let them go. I was once like that. I get so attached to players, right? Well, there are 2 players that I got really attached to that really broke my heart when I saw them leave, and that was Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. Even Roddy White, when we cut him, right? He just didn't fit the Shanahan scheme. That really hurt my heart. And I hated to see them go. Oh, Let's see what we got here. I don't think they want to take that route with Grady. I think they want him to retire a Falcon. I think so too. And I think Grady wants to retire a Falcon. He's one of those 5th round gems. His dad played for us. Why would he want to go to another team? He doesn't. Sign a free agent edge, trade back, grab either Pierce Jr. or Green. So I'm going to tell you guys something. I really think Pierce Jr. is going to fall out of the first round, not because of his talent, but because of the baggage he's going to bring. A lot of reports, and initially I thought they were bogus, but more and more credible sources are saying that Pierce could fall to the 3rd round. And whoever takes him is going to get a steal, but they know they're going to have their hands full when it comes to his mental. And as far as Mike Green, you have those allegations hanging over his head. Of course, he wasn't proven guilty, but you still can't overlook that stuff. Reports say that teams already knew about it. They already knew about it, so they've been doing their homework. Personally, we've seen Terry take players off his board solely for the fact that they don't want to mess with guys with baggage per se, and that could be because of Arthur Blank, because of the Michael Vick situation and what they ended up, having to deal with. I don't know. I would love Mike Green in red and black. I think Mike Green is the most polished edge rusher in this draft class. He's ready to rush the passer, but I don't know if it's likely. I heard he's a real life crash out, LOL, from former teammates and all on Pierce Jr. He might be, but these are the type of players that fall to teams like the Philadelphia Eagles or the Baltimore Ravens, right? Those teams that don't necessarily need a player of his caliber, but they're willing to take it on because they've had success with those type of attitudes, those type of mindsets. Whereas the Falcons, they haven't had success with that. Mike Green has been really open about his issues, so it might not affect him as much as Pierce. I agree. He's been open and honest, saying, my agent's going to be open and honest. I'll be open and honest. So I think that's going to help him and his stock. As long as he continues to be open and honest, that could keep him in the top 15. Blank needs to lighten up. A player record doesn't determine talent, and that's how the Eagles got Jalen Carter. I agree with you. Now, don't get it twisted. We got a special player in Bijan Robinson, but yes, if Jalen Carter didn't have that recent issue, from Georgia and the car wreck, he may have been a Falcon. Now, I'm not going to say who told me this, and I think there's a little bit of truth, guys. I think that the reason why the Falcons, even if they're a good player, now this is all speculation, right? Nothing ever proven. I think the reason the Falcons may struggle with drafting Georgia players, even though they're in the Falcons' backyard, is because the nightlife. These players, especially with NIL rolling around now, they know the nightlife, and they're more likely to get in trouble in an area that they're familiar with, right? So that they hesitate with that because it's like, yes, they're a good player, but are they going to do something stupid within the first year? So I think that gives them hesitation. And it's not just been Terry, right? It's been Thomas Dimitrov and so forth, like the GMs of past, right? Now, I'm not going to confirm that that's true. It's just an observation and a theory, right? And maybe why getting them out of their familiar scene out, to the Northeast, to the West Coast helps them, right? Jalen Carter, maybe he knows the nightlife now. He would more likely get in trouble in Atlanta because he knew the people in Atlanta. That's just some food for thought, right? Like I said, I can't prove that nor deny that. I think this is a situation where you lean on a veteran leader such as Grady Jesse to set the tone on how players coming in mature. I agree, and that's why I think Grady Jarrett isn't going anywhere. He's just going to rework his number to help the team because he wants to retire a Falcon, and I don't blame him. Okay. Other NFL news, Zach Bond, if your dream of Zach Bond being an Atlanta Falcon, that's gone. He signed a 3-year deal, $51 million. Tyler Lockett got cut. No, thank you. Gardner Minshew got cut. No, thank you. Christian Kirk got cut. No, thank you. Sam Hubbard got cut, but he retired. That would have been the only one I would say to go after. You have to coach them up to be better and well-rounded player. I agree. Hey, I agree. You got to show them how to be grown men in this world. But at the same time, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink the water. And the same could be said for people. You could teach them how to be a good person and a good man and a good citizen, but it doesn't mean that they will be. It doesn't mean that they won't make mistakes, right? And that goes for any team, not just the Falcons. But anyways, let's talk about the Falcons at the 15th selection, right? Who are the Falcons going to take? Let me know in the comments if you guys would. Let me know who you want at 15, if they're there, right? Obviously, some people say, oh, they won't be there. They'll already be taken in the top 10, blah, 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 blah. That's fine. I want to see who you guys want at 15 if he was there. Jada says he wants Jalen Walker. Okay, I like it. Give me Starks or Barron. Reaper, I'm going to question you. Give me one of those. Who do you have over the other? Mark, I'm going to question you the same thing. Jihad Campbell or Will Johnson? Who would you take if they were both there? Hold on. Mike Green, Jihad, Jahdae Barron, Jihad. Give me the one that you would be if they were all there. Jihad Campbell is my number one. Okay. Starks or Jihad? Which one? If they were both there, which one? Okay. I got Campbell. Barron because of versatility. That's a good point. Probably Campbell. Okay. Mike Green. Okay. We got some variety here. Now, can we be on a consensus here together, right, guys? The majority of the people in here are Falcon fans, if not all of you. If the Falcons take a defensive player, one of the guys that we listed, Jahdae Barron, Malachi Starks, Jihad Campbell, Mike Green, Jalen Walker, Will Johnson. Like, if any of those 6 players are on the board and the Falcons take them, are you guys going to be happy or are you going to be upset? Like, be real with me. Right? Starks, Lawrence, you're the first one to say Mykel Williams. I was surprised I didn't see any other ones. Listen, it's not going to be one player. I'm going to tell you that right now. Mason Graham. Okay, that's fair. Hey, I said if they're on the board, Mason Graham. Okay. You would be happy? I don't think you can go wrong with any of them. And I agree with that. I'm going to tell you my number one. It's Jihad Campbell. When I first started the draft process and was starting to review prospects, my draft crush was Mike Green. I was all like, give me Mike Green at all costs. I don't care. Right? Mike Green is him, which I think he will be. And that was my draft crush. He still is my draft crush. He's my number one edge behind Abdul Carter, someone I think realistically could be there for the Falcons. But then I started watching Malachi Starks, Jahdae Barron, Jihad Campbell, Will Johnson. And I'm like, oh, these are some dogs right here. And Jihad Campbell has become my draft day crush because he also brings so much versatility to this defense. I'd rather go D-line in the later rounds or free agency or trades. I agree with you. And that's why I lean towards the secondary or Jihad Campbell. I heard that Starks is their number one, which I'm fine with. Starks was being compared to Jesse Bates. There's your plan after Jesse Bates, right? There are reports that said the Falcons contacted Pittsburgh. Oh, yeah, I trade him. I trade him for the right price. Absolutely. Joey Bosa. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. Him being cut and him being a free agent target for the Falcons. But Jihad Campbell, Will Johnson, Jahdae Barron, Malachi Starks. Okay. Those are the guys that can really, I would call them almost blue chip players because this is such a defensive line deep class that you could get someone that would be the same caliber, almost the same caliber player as like a Walter Nolan, a Kenneth Grant, maybe a Shamar Stewart who isn't at his peak yet, but who knows if he'll actually develop. Same thing with Mykel Williams. Like, you can get some really good guys in the second, third, fourth round. And that's why everyone is clamoring at the fact that, Terry, you need draft capital. So I'm surprised we haven't seen it. It was a couple weeks, if not a month before the draft where last year, if you guys remember, we saw the Houston Texans trade their first round pick to the Minnesota Vikings last year. And that's why Minnesota had 2 picks, right? They drafted J.J. McCarthy. They drafted Dallas Turner. I'm not saying we trade out of the first round completely. Okay. I'm not saying we draft out of the first round. I'm saying something similar to that nature could be. Depends on how far we drop. You could add a third, you could add a fifth. If you did that, if you drop 5 or 7 slots, you add a third, you add a fifth, well, you just recouped what you lost in the Matt Judon trade and Kirk Cousins opening his big mouth. I think that would be a win because you could still get a really good defensive player. I love Nick out of SC over Starks, but I want to start at the line of scrimmage before any other level of the defense, and that's fair. It's either Starks or Nick Emanwari. It took me a while to figure out how to say his name. Starks plays faster than what his combine speed shows. And let's see. I think we're going to go with someone who put up a lot of production in college. That's why I'm thinking a lot. Green, Barron, Starks, even Pierce. I think Pierce is out because of the attitude issue. Yes, trade Pitts. Yeah. Stark said he would love to go home in Georgia. He's from Jefferson, Georgia. Yeah. I mean, all the guys, would love to come back and play home because then their families can go watch them. It's a lot closer for them. But I think it's going to be, it's either Jihad, Barron, Will Johnson, or Starks. I think those are the 4 at 15. Because I truly think they're preparing for Jalen Walker to be gone, Mykel Williams to be gone, Mike Green to be gone, and potentially Shamar Stewart to be gone. Because I think Shamar Stewart, after his combine performance, catapulted himself into the top 10. So the Falcons are in a luxurious spot at 15. The problem is they don't have enough picks in a very deep class. So that's a problem. Let's see. Starks has better instincts and ball hawk. Nick is a freak athlete. Yes, and that's what you want. I think Nick is a harder hitting safety, but don't sleep on Starks because I saw some tape on him, and he's a very good run fitter, tackles very, very well, wraps up. He had some tackling issues this past season, but hey, overall, he had a down season. 2023 was much better for him than it was this year. A lot of the prospects actually had better 2023 seasons than they did this year. So who knows? Who knows? Can we be like the Eagles and hopefully the Falcons learn the Eagles draft? No. Save your breath. Save your blood pressure. Don't set yourself up for disappointment, okay? The Falcons historically have not been that way. I don't see them changing their ways. The Eagles just happened to fall into that spot where, honestly, they got handed Nolan Smith. Blame all the other teams that passed on Nolan Smith. Sure, you can be mad about Jalen Carter. Jordan Davis, he's a run-defending defensive tackle. He's not Jalen Carter. Like, what are we upset here about? I do really like Mykel Williams, just not sure he will be there. Yeah, and I think that's what the front office is preparing for as well, that he be gone. Now, Mykel Williams has some untapped pass rush ability. I think he's already a phenomenal run defender on the edge. But I don't know. I don't know if the front office feels like they have the time to develop their guy. They almost need this guy to start day one, So I believe free agency will be important this year for us. Oh, absolutely. And that's why, like I said it early in the show, I'm getting a little anxious, just like you guys are, that Terry Fontenot didn't already start making these restructures. So we got Zion Logue last year. Listen, I didn't watch any Zion Logue tape last year, I'll be honest. But from what I saw, everyone was very upset that we drafted him, called it a waste of a pick. And it was because he was on the practice squad and then got poached by the Buffalo Bills. Not a fan of using a top 20 pick on a sub 200 safety. Doesn't mean he can't put on weight in the pros. Come on now. Let's see. Jalen Walker reminds me of Micah Parsons. Yeah, a little bit. I think Abdul Carter is more Micah Parsons than Jalen Walker. But they have the similar size. They wear the same number, so I understand why you see that. We're going to go get Luther Burden, aren't we? Listen, I'm going to knock on wood. Listen. You hear that wood knock? Don't say that. Don't put it in the universe, okay? We already have the media trying to push, like the 33rd team saying we're going to draft Matthew Golden with the 15th pick. Don't do that. Starks can play nickel too, so that's a plus. Yes, that's why I like Starks too, because a lot of people are like, oh, he's only a safety. No, he can play man coverage in the nickel as well. Like he turns his hips very well, has good instincts, knows when to break on the ball, and knows when a receiver's going deep. Like he's got really, really good technique for a safety that could play the nickel. Calling it right now, the Falcons start restructures tomorrow. Yeah, I think so too. They have to today or Friday. But something's got to give, right? Something's got to start happening because the time is ticking, and it's March 5th. March 10th, that's when contracts start getting accepted. And you already know, we already know they're already talking behind the scenes on agreements. Like, I'm fully expecting as soon as tampering period opens up, Milton Williams agrees to the Patriots contract. I think Milton Williams is a Patriot. Starks is going to ball in the NFL? Yeah, I think so too. But honestly, I think he's a Dolphin. I keep doing mocks, and I'm like, the Dolphins are going to lose Javon Holland. They need someone, right? They better not be like Jerry Jones. They better be like Jerry Jones this year. Jerry Jones has already restructured Dak and CeeDee Lamb. They made $54 million in cap space already. But I think what you mean is don't be inactive in free agency. I think that's what you mean. The past week, I've been praying to see on Yamato or some cap moves, but no. Listen, I've been telling everyone, relax. Everything's going to be okay. Take a deep breath. But now I'm starting to get anxious. So I feel you, man. I feel you. Maybe they wait to make the moves till they know they have an agreement with a player. Man, that'd be kind of. I don't know if they. I don't know if you wait. You can't wait, right? But the thing about it is, you know what plays in favor for us is the NFLPA report card and all the high scores that the facility got, the lunchroom got, how they treat family members. Raheem Morris's high score, Arthur Blank's high score, like that. That's inviting to free agents. That makes you want to go play there, even if you're not sure if they're going to win. You know your job environment is going to be what you want, right? Unless you want to just win, then obviously, I'm not saying we're not going to win, right? That's not what I'm saying. We better at least make one move because I haven't heard anything about the Falcons. Yeah, there have been several teams that have been quiet, but I agree we need to start making some moves. Not a priority, but do you see an upgrade at wide receiver 3? Not this year. If anything, this is my thought. Make Ray specifically your returner, punt and kick. Kick Kyle Pitts to the Y, the third receiver, right? Your slot, not your X, but your F or whatever receiver you want to. Because a lot of the time when we were in 10-man protection, 9-man protection at the line of scrimmage, Ray was the one coming in. So why not have Pitts do that? Right? Motion in and come in and help the left tackle, Jake Matthews, or the right tackle, You don't wait because with the fire moves you can make any surprise free agent move, you have to be. Yes, exactly. If we get Jihad in the first, who are some pass rushers you like in the second round? Ooh. Who do I think is going to be there? What's this kid's name? Hold on. I forgot his name. And I feel I'm a little embarrassed that I forgot his name. Please hold. The one that screams and talks to me in the second round that I know is going to be there is what's his name? Kyle Kennard. That's his name. Braden Swinson out of LSU. I like him. JTT out of Ohio State. He's a little twitchier, more twitchy. Damsky puts it very well. He's a more twitchy Braylon Trice. But, man, he gets active, and he's going to give you hell the entire game. Princely, I can't say his last name. Princely out of Ole Miss would be someone. Character issues, of course. Don't know. I like Jordan Birch in the second round. And then you get to the fourth round. David Walker out of Central Arkansas. I'm giving him a shot. He reminds me a lot of Brandon Graham. Tutu Atwell, maybe? Maybe. He's familiar with Zach Robinson, so maybe. Wide receiver isn't a priority, assuming the starters stay healthy. I agree with you. I agree. So that's why I would love DK Metcalf in Atlanta, but it's not going to happen because it's not something that is a need or really want to. Femi from UCLA, I like later on. I agree. First year playing edge, and he's already making a name for himself. Jack Sawyer in the second. Landon, I'm out on Jack Sawyer. Just going to be frank with you. I'm just going to be frank. Yes, that Princely. Do you think we should draft O-line, maybe a center and offensive tackle? No, I don't. Unless you add more picks, right? Then you wait until day 3. You get some developmental guys that you can plug in as backups, let them learn the system. And then if, Jake Matthews retires or Caleb McGarry doesn't re-sign, you can plug them in. But I think I haven't looked at free agents for the next year yet, but I think free agent class is going to be better than this year. This free agent class is awful, man. Awful. Who is QB2 after Cousins is released? I like Teddy Bridgewater. I also like Jameis Winston. To be honest with you, man, Jameis would bring some some funny moments to Atlanta. Kerry, you're welcome. That was a good question. Thank you. A later round guy for me is Fadil Diggs. Yes, had a really good combine. I really like that 10-yard split. So I think he could develop into someone. Baron Sorrell out of Texas. Even Savion Jones out of LSU, the other LSU guy. And who's another one that I liked? Ja Joyner. Ja Joyner out of Minnesota is another guy. Bears are targeting Durham Smythe. I'm brain farting on who that is. All right, guys, a couple more questions I'm going to answer. We've hit that hour mark. My wife is waiting for me, so I got to get to her. What are you thinking a Cousins trade looks like? I'm thinking that we eat a lot of the contract and we get maybe a 5th or 6th round pick for him. That's it. But then after this year, they take on the entire contract. That's what I think. Terry has to make this move this year because he knows absolutely. I think this is make or break for Terry. No, I'm out on Gardner Minshew. No, thank you. Hopefully, Raheem let starters play preseason and we get started fast. We'll see. I hope so because they need the reps, right? Jimmy G or Dobbs? Ooh, I like Dobbs. A Cousins trade is looking like a pipe dream. Not necessarily. Let's wait until after the draft because he'll still be on the team. Realistic landing spot for Kirk? Surprisingly enough, I think the Cleveland Browns and possibly the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me tonight. Thank you so much for everyone being here on Reporting Eligible. You guys were phenomenal tonight. Great questions. We covered a lot. I will be making my first official mock draft and posting it to the YouTube page. So if you guys aren't already following, it's Dirty Bird Central on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe if you guys are enjoying the content. Just like I do this wrong every time. Right here. Yep. BK Squared at BK Squared Skevin. That's my Twitter handle. I post daily. If you want inside the mind of bro talk, whether you agree or disagree, I'm still going to put it out there. We can have a discussion anytime about Atlanta Falcons or NFL in general. And then I do post daily TikToks at Dirty Bird Central as well. Not just Falcons, but the NFL as a whole. If you want strictly Falcons, follow me on Twitter or here on Dirty Bird Central. But we are expanding to more NFL. We want to expand, especially with Birdo and all that. Again, shout out to my co-host Birdo who couldn't be here tonight. He will be back the following week, so we will have the dynamic duo. Good night to you guys, everyone. Carrie, thank you so much for being here. Dab, thank you so much for the happy anniversary. Everyone, W in the chat for my wife for letting me be here. Until next week, guys. Peace.